There is no Easter Bunny. There is no Tooth Fairy. There is no anti-war right. It's 100% true. There's none. It doesn't exist. There's no right either. Let's be real. As of today, it's official, okay? MAGA is a cult, and they're pro-pedophilia, pro-Jeffrey Epstein, pro-Israel, unconditionally. They are just a cult. Ladies and gentlemen, it's primary day. It's election day in the United States of America, in numerous states, Kentucky, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, to name a few, and we are getting ready to rumble.
Holy Toledo.
Philly, go out and vote. Georgia, go out and vote. Kentucky, go out and vote. Charles Booker, but also maybe Thomas Massey. I don't know. You know, holy Toledo, folks.
Indiana. And both of those situations are unique from mine. Bill Cassidy voted to impeach the president. That's something I've never done and I would never do. And his constituents were mad about that, right?
God, I love Thomas Massey so much. He is such a freak, dude. What a rare bird he is. He's like, I'm so much more MAGA than Bill Cassidy. I would never vote to impeach Donald Trump. It's awesome. He's so awesome. Libertarian final boss? Absolutely. Thomas Maserati, baby.
This is one of the most, if not the most expensive House primaries ever. More than $30 million spent. I'm on the race here and talking to voters. There's a sense of exhaustion as well. But, Sarah, this is
now officially the most expensive primary race in the history of the United States of America. Number 2 and number 3 were Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. Now, what's the connective tissue there? Why is the number 1 most expensive primary race in the history of the United States of America and the number 2 most expensive primary race and the number 3 most expensive primary race in the history of American elections? What could it be? What is the thing that connects Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, 2 Democrats, and Thomas Massey? That's right. It's Israel. It's just broad daylight. They are literally subverting the democratic process. A foreign lobby for a foreign state, the number 1 ally of the United States of America, small nation, tiny nation, size of New Jersey, surrounded by scary Muslims. That's what it is. No politics here. Do not say Israel is buying seats. How dare you? How dare you say Israel buying seats? Haaretz literally confirms that the Kentucky primary is for Israel. The most consequential Republican primary for Israel is happening in Kentucky. At some point, we got to be like, this is a little up, no? What will it take, folks? When will Americans wake the up to what's going on? This is totally ridiculous. It's happening in broad daylight. It's almost as perverse and as ridiculous as Donald Trump taking $1.7 billion of taxpayer revenue from the IRS to spend however he sees fit. It's happening in broad daylight. Is highway robbery, and people are just sleepwalking. Donald Trump doing, 58 trades a day since the beginning of 2026. How did that happen? People who got real mad about Nancy and Paul Pelosi, myself included, I was mad about that too, and you should be mad about that. It's perfectly valid to be upset that congresspersons are trading on non-publicly available information, and yet no such consideration is given to the president when he's doing it in broad daylight. What are we doing? What's going on? Actually, not to get all Tucker Carlson here, but what the is going on? We're not a country. We're not. If you allow foreign lobbies to buy and sell seats like this without any pushback whatsoever, you can't be a country. You're not. We're not a country. The United States of America is no longer a country. It's just a holdover state for corporate interests. Corporate interests that can come in and buy elections, foreign lobbies that can come in and buy elections. Basically now, an Israeli-owned casino. Shout out Miriam Adelson. It's ridiculous.
She's out here voting because things are really expensive and hard. I passed by a gas station here in Allentown, $4.89 a gallon. Those are the issues that are really bringing voters.
If Massey loses, do you think it has enough of an impact to disillusion some people? No, it means that people are totally in a drunken stupor. If Thomas Massey wins today, that's a huge blow. That means no amount of moneyed interest, no amount of cultish thinking that is in the core of the Republican Party, that's like anchoring the entire base at this point, is enough to unseat someone who's actually fought for his own moral convictions and said, I'm not going to compromise on my values. If Israel and Trump in unison wins here, which, by the way, is not unexpected, okay, it shows something about the state of Republicans. It says that the base is is completely a cult, 100% a cult. Okay. It's just totally a cult. It's not necessarily a bad thing from our perspective. In some ways, it's terrifying how cultish it is, but it's a cult that is getting smaller and smaller. So from that perspective, I think it's beatable. One example I will use is the Ken Paxton endorsement. In Texas, Ken Paxton is a polarizing figure, not just for the Democrats, but amongst Republicans as well. But he's full MAGA. And Donald Trump endorsed Ken Paxton today. Ken Paxton actually performs worse against James Tallarico than Cornyn. And now that Donald Trump is boosting Ken Paxton, this actually improves James Tallarico's chances. So you will see potential flips in areas that we never thought were possible to flip because of the way that Trump is moving. Trump is very clearly mustering up all the forces. He's saying, this is my party. It doesn't matter. I care about ideological loyalty. I care about loyalty to me more than anything else. I don't care about the performance of the party at all. I only care about making sure that my guys are, winning. You know how the Democrats have done a similar thing for maintaining the corporate control over the party? Something that caused them to lose over and over again. Something that might even cause them to lose in the upcoming midterms in areas where they could potentially win. That's what Trump is doing. This is how you lose elections that you could possibly win. When there is unilateral control over the future of the party in the hands of one egomaniacal madman, or a national party that chooses to defend corporate interests, even when the warning signs are right there. For the Democratic Party, they lost the election because they refused to lean into the demands being made by the masses as far as more bold, more radical changes in the economy that would help the working class, or their unbelievable loyalty to the nation state of Israel as it was engaging in heinous war crimes and doing a genocide. That loyalty caused people to stay at home. That loyalty is the reason why people didn't vote for the Democratic Party and Trump won.
Somewhere 82, 83% on average. That is higher at this point in a second term than either Barack Obama was with Democrats back in 2014, and certainly way higher than George W. Bush was at this point with Republicans back in 2006. I'll note Grindr, by the way, going in the Grindr. That's a quote from Good Burger. I love that movie. But what is, what's so important here is what happened in Louisiana. Will that necessarily hold in Kentucky? Maybe, maybe not. But Bill Cassidy's performance on Saturday night, I went back through all the spreadsheets that I possibly could, looking at every single primary that an incumbent senator had just after World War II, back in 1946. Bill Cassidy's 25% was the weakest performance of any incumbent senator in a primary. Again, I don't think
Trump is God. For MAGA, which is the entirety of the Republican Party, Donald Trump is God. He is no longer just like a political figure. He is a deity. You have to look at modern day Republican voters as a cult. That's it. I genuinely think at this point, if Donald Trump turned around and said that he is a communist, we could have a communist party in this country. That is the level of influence Donald Trump has over his base. Okay, Donald Trump tomorrow could be like, I am a communist. I love communism. The Republican Party is completely at the mercy of Donald Trump. Bill Cassidy's a demon. Yes, I hate Bill Cassidy. I don't give a shit about Bill Cassidy. But the reality of the matter is, seemingly, Republicans don't give about Bill Cassidy either. Okay, they will drop any and every person that they have consistently voted for. That's why the Kentucky race is important. The Kentucky primary for Thomas Massey is unbelievably important. It's unbelievably important because Thomas Massey is not even like Bill Cassidy, right? Bill Cassidy has had his woke moments, which Republicans love punishing regardless. Thomas Massey is not woke at all. Thomas Massey is 90% of the way with Donald Trump. Thomas Massey is more MAGA than Trump is. So at this point, is MAGA a definable set of opinions and ideology and policies, or is MAGA just whatever Donald Trump likes and whatever Donald Trump hates is no longer MAGA? That's the question taking shape within the Republican Party primaries in Kentucky. I personally believe it's a cult. This is an important moment because if Thomas Massey wins, that means that there is actually a fissure within the base of MAGA, where there are at least enough Republicans that are capable of looking at individual policies and saying, look, I love Trump. I love Massey. Massey did great with the Epstein stuff. He did great with Israel. I agree with him. At least for that district in Kentucky, we can figure out whether or not there is anything redeemable about the Republican Party, or not necessarily redeemable, but is there something salvageable? Because if there is a real fissure there, if Thomas Massey wins the primaries, that means there is at least a fissure that can be exploited. If Thomas Massey loses the primaries, it's over. There's no better indication. I mean, that paired up with Bill Cassidy, paired up with all the other things that have taken place, it's done. Israel and Donald Trump can just, at least on the Republican side, destroy the candidacy, destroy the legacy and the impact of any Republican, no matter how loyal they are. That's what we're going to find out today. I hope Thomas Massey wins, because if Thomas Massey wins, that means that there is a deep fissure within the base where, for the first time ever, maybe regardless of their cultish attitude, regardless of their dear leader praise, there are certain things that the base of support within MAGA still sees and can make individual changes on. That means that there is there is a little bit of hope to lean into that deep fissure.
As these numbers come in here in the Lehigh Valley,
nice.
The 7th District.
Numbers on the board.
Two other, Lauren, big races that we're watching in Pennsylvania tonight. Bucks County, not just for personal preference reasons, but because that is one that's going to be a battleground come November.
Yeah,
and then, of course, the Philly District, Pennsylvania 3 that we've been talking about, too.
Coming in late. NBC's updated numbers are just the same numbers that we saw already. AIPAC already gloating. Congratulations to U.S. Navy SEAL Ed Galbraith for defeating anti-Israel incumbent Thomas Massey. Pro-Israel Americans are proud to back candidates who support a strong America-Israel alliance. Being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. Fuck! They're farting on us! There is no Easter Bunny. There is no Tooth Fairy. There is no anti-war right. It's 100% true. There's none. It doesn't exist. There's no anti-pedophilia right either. Let's be real. As of today, it's official, okay? MAGA is a cult, and they're pro-pedophilia, pro-Jeffrey Epstein, pro-Israel, unconditionally. They are just a cult. That's it. There's no reason to fantasize about, like, what is Tucker Carlson gonna do? Is Tucker Carlson gonna motivate the people to not vote for the pro-pedophilia, pro-Trump, pro-Epstein candidate? No, it don't work. It's not real. It doesn't exists, okay? These guys are insane. Yeah, Galbraith, by the way, didn't participate in any debates, barely campaigned, but he had Trump's endorsement and tens of millions of dollars from pro-Israel groups behind him. Democracy. Straight up. He got carried. This is the Republican closed primary. These are lifelong Republicans. Have you changed your mind on Tucker's viability as a replacement for Trump? No, because Tucker doesn't exist in a world where Trump exists. It doesn't change the calculation for me at all. What comes after Trump will be Tucker Carlson, who will be just as cult-like as Donald Trump. That's what I think. Once Trump is out of the picture, it doesn't matter. The only person who can carry that same exact cult that has the capabilities of reading the room is going to be Tucker Carlson. But while there is one guy, while Trump is around, it's Trump and nobody else. But what I do think is Tucker might actually change his tune a little bit. He might be singing a different tune after this. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's a room reader and the room is yelling at him. Yeah, notice any trend with the most expensive congressional races? It seems like there's a trend. I wonder how that happened. 34 million, Thomas Massey versus Galbraith. Jamal Berman versus Latimer, 25 million. These are primaries, okay? Yeah, what good is it to be able to read the room if the base of support that you are going for is illiterate and can't read? Oh my God. Devastating. Again, like I said, it's now official. The Republican Party is a cult. Now we're going to find out if the Democrats are a cult too.
You know, it is the most expensive race ever. I think when they add it up, right now they can count 35 million. I think when they add it up, it's going to be a lot more than that, because on our side, we know we spent more than 15 million. And we were able to go toe to toe. There was never a week that we got outspent more than 2-1 in this entire race. Once it got underway. And that's
remember,
also,
guys, this doesn't mean that Ken Paxton has it in the bag, though, because the rest of the country despises these freaks. It's an increasingly shrinking base of cult-like support, but there's a limit to it. If the opposition is strong enough, they can win. As it stands currently, until Donald Trump decides he's going to put armed ICE agents at every polling station who not only ask for your papers, but your voter affiliation, which could happen, And Democrats could just turn around and say, what are we going to do? Oh no, we have to vote extra hard next time. I know they're shooting us at the polling station. We're going to vote harder. But remember, the Republican Party is gone. Okay. It's over. It's done. There is no, I'm a Trump supporter, but also I don't really with Israel. I'm done listening to this. As long as Trump is around, he is God. Trump is perceived as a deity. Trump is perceived as a godlike figure. The Idaho primaries were the first inclination that people don't give a about any personal opinion whatsoever. They don't have any ideological standing. It's only Trump. Trump is God. And then we saw the Louisiana race. Third place, dude. Incumbent getting into third place. There is no anti-war right. It's over. There is no anti-Israel right. There's no anti-war right. As long as Donald Trump is the president, as long as Donald Trump stays pro-Israel, this party is pro-Israel. As long as Donald Trump is pro-war, this party is pro-war. Anything but a decisive victory for Thomas Massey implies that there is no base of support. There is no base of support for anything but Trump. That's it. That's where we're at. The fact that it wasn't even a close race for Massey implies it's so gone. What a devastating day for theoretical democracy in the United States of America so far. Remember, like I've said already, the first test was whether or not the Republican Party is a cult and they will just go whichever way the money tells them to go. This was proven to be true. They are the pro-Epstein, pro-pedophilia, pro-Israel, pro-Trump cult. That's what the Republicans are. The second test will be in Pennsylvania 3rd District. Pro-Israel is on the side of both Sharif Street and Stamford. The institutional Dems are behind Sharif Street. The people are behind Chris Rabb. So we shall see. Big mistake for Thomas Massey running an expressly anti-pedophilia ticket in the grand old pedophiles party. What else can you say? God damn, it's hard to stay hopeful in this country. It's crazy.